welcome to another Inside Lansing, where today's guest is Jerry Zeldenrust, trustee of the Village of Lansing. Jerry, thanks for being here today.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity.
So you're a trustee for our police and fire department, but a lot of people might not know that you were a part of the police department for 30 years before you were even a trustee.
Right.
Could you talk a little bit about what that was like and what positions you held maybe there?
Sure. I got hired at age 21 at the Lansing Police Department in 1979. And it was the same day that our mayor, Patty Item, got hired.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So we worked together at the police department all the way back when. I just had a great career at the police department. Started out like everyone in patrol division and got to know every inch of the town. I just remember being mentored by the officers, being so young. Quite a few of them took me under their wing and showed me all the back alleys and the quickest way to get from one side of town to the other, and just really got to know the town thoroughly in order to do a good job. After about 7 years in patrol division, there was an opening for a youth officer, so I put in for that and just really enjoyed that. And shortly after that, I went into our new police station up on 170th. And then all of our officers that were in the youth division and adult division were cross-trained. And so I became an adult detective, working criminal cases for adults as well as juveniles, and just loved that work and found out that that was really my niche, my calling. I was better at the strategic planning kind of thing and putting cases together and setting up interviews and getting confessions, things like that.
The heavy thought, desk work type stuff, right?
Yeah, right. So it just came to me easier. After a number of years in detective division, I made rank, and then I came back into that unit as sergeant. And then a few years later, it came an opportunity to test for lieutenant. And so I kind of went up the rank scale there. And my neatest opportunity there before I left was being appointed a commander. The only opening was for support services, which is not as glamorous.
Right.
But it turned out it was the best thing for what I didn't know was coming in the future. Was important for me to learn about budgets and project management and technology.
So that relates directly to you as a trustee for...
Exactly.
That helped out a lot. It was kind of almost like pre-training.
Yep. Yeah. It's funny how the Lord works those things out way in advance. You didn't know you needed it until later, and then you're thankful that you had it. So, and my chief at the time was Dan McDivitt, and he said, "Don't worry, you're going to need this," and he was right.
So after your time with the police department, you moved on to Moody Bible in Chicago.
Yes.
And I was just wondering, maybe you could talk to us a little bit about your time there.
Right. Funny thing about the police department at the time is they had this retirement incentive. And so even though I was enjoying my time there, I hit age 50, and they had a retirement incentive that just it was too good to turn down. So all of a sudden I find myself retired at age 50. And I have all these tools and all this training, and I really have to thank the village for how they invested in me since age 21. It was the training at the police department, the experiences, the camaraderie. It was just such a well-rounded experience that all of a sudden you're done at age 50 and you have to do something with all these tools that you've been given. As we started searching around, my wife and I just kept an eye out for what was available. And then we heard that the Moody Bible Institute in Chicago was an institution that we were familiar with. Found out that they were looking to hire a chief of public safety. So I went for the interview, and it went real well. So I wound up getting hired there. And wouldn't you know, all of the things that I was trained in, especially in the last 4 or 5 years at the police department, were exactly what Moody Bible Institute was looking for. They really gave me a blank slate and said, "We want you to structure this how you would." Even though it wasn't a municipal law enforcement group, it was technically private security.
Right.
Yeah, all those things needed to happen there. We had to write policy and buy equipment and do training, in-house training, get all our guys trained in the state recognized training
so you led the way on all that?
Public safety, yeah. So it was, they had little bits and pieces of it that showed up here and there, but it really had not been in a comprehensive way. and they were looking for a facelift and to give their public safety a boost and a new look, and really have the confidence of the Institute.
Now, something else people might not realize is that you were also part of the first PCA Church.
Yeah.
And maybe you just talk about what you like about being a part of them and what you do there.
Right. Yeah, I was born and raised in Lansing, and my family was a member of that church when I was born, so that's all the church I've ever known. It's just been a great experience. It's a church family. Taught Sunday school, led some youth group for junior and senior high, and then later on in life filled the role of deacon and elder.
Okay.
A couple of sessions. So I always find myself, because of my police training and because of life experience, kind of wind up in a leadership role somewhere along the way. And that's not to be said in a proud way. It's just that I believe strongly when you've been given certain skills and abilities, and then it's been coupled with training along the way. I really feel that it's kind of a theme in my life that you should use what you've been given, and so that's kind of how it worked at church as well.
And it's just kind of funny because just listening to all these stories and everything, it's like, it seems almost obvious to me that you would be a trustee in town. And that was my next topic to talk about, is just talk about the current present you as their trustee for the police and fire department. What was that fit like, and what has the position been like? What does that entail? What do you have to do?
Well, I had the neat opportunity to be invited, basically, when Mayor Patty Item was putting her team together. She called me up one day and said, would I ever consider it?
Right.
So I was kind of taken aback. She said, no, I'd like you to be a trustee candidate on the slate. And so we talked about that. So I really thoughtfully and prayerfully considered it, and then just saw how all the planets aligned and how this would be a good thing. Yeah, having an opportunity like that to be invited on board, for them to see that there was something I could contribute, and then see how the slate came together.
You enjoy your time there working with the police and fire department?
Oh, I was hoping that I would be the trustee that gets assigned to be the liaison with the police and fire, just because of my time with the police department and my experience with, always working. Police department always works with the fire department.
Right, correct.
Yeah, I was hoping I would get that assignment, and when I did, it was just very reassuring, to me, that I was in the right place,
Right.
and that there were things that, because of the economic downturn going way back, to 07, 2008.
Correct.
Just a lot of things had to be put on hold, but that can only go on for so long. So
Right.
about the time we were coming on the scene, it was rebuild time. The economy was doing a little better, and so we got to enjoy that and see where there was money available and find new revenue streams. And nothing more rewarding to see your baby, your old police department that might have been struggling for equipment and personnel, be able to get back to where it needed to be. So I was happy to serve in that way, and I was happy that the team all saw it as being a priority that we wanted to attack early on, and I can't be more happy to work with the team that we have currently, and that we also had. As you know, we lost our trustee Mike Mano,
Yes.
long-time friend at the police department, worked alongside of him all those years as well. It's going to be such a big hole to fill, but when you're working alongside guys like Mike Mano and Brian Hardy, and before that it was Mike Scorbina and Tony DeLaurentis, it's just such a positive group. I'm from the school of, don't tell me that it can't be fixed. Don't tell me that there's nothing that can be done. Something
Right.
can be done somehow, in some way, at some level. And so to be surrounded by all these positive individuals that just love Lansing, grew up in Lansing, and want to work together to get it done, it's just been a pleasure.
I usually ask this question of all the trustees, but yours is actually going to be a little bit different, your question, because most people, like we talk about, is they go after a trustee position out of a passion. Now, I can't deny that you have that. But you were asked. You were specifically asked. So after you were asked, why? Most people, like I said, they want to be a trustee because they want to be a trustee. There's not really a whole lot of like, well, I need it for a job or I need this.
Right.
It's something you go after. And in that case, after you were asked, you still had to decide if you were going to go after it or not.
Right.
So my question is, why did you want to go after it after that?
Right. I believe strongly that the Lord directs the events in your life. And I didn't know why it was time to be done at Moody Bible Institute after 5 years. You know, everything was fine there. It would have been very easy to still go there. Certain little things kind of signaled that my time, I had done as much as I could do there and that it was time to move on, but I really didn't know where I was moving on to. So you just kind of, you know, take a leap of faith and go, well, you know, I've got an income and we'll just see, you know, what comes down the road. And so when you get a invite like that and you do consider it, all of a sudden your eyes are kind of open to that same old theme. You know, you've been equipped to do something. You've been, in my case, the police department, you've been trained, you've been given lifetime of experiences there. In team building, you've been mentored, you've attended training courses, you've kind of developed your leadership style, and when you have that, you've been given that. I really feel like I've been given that by this town. And so when you have an opportunity to give back in a way that's, you know, we've always promised each other is going to be fun, you know, along the way. We're going to accomplish good things. We're going to agree to disagree, you know, if we don't see eye to eye on everything. And that's okay.
Yeah.
But in the end, we'll respect each other for voting our conscience and to having a single-minded goal, and that is to make Lansing just better than we found it.
Well, I could probably sit here for a while and just keep asking more and more questions, but I think I just have one more to ask you, and just give me quick thoughts on
Sure.
what do you love about Lansing?
Right.
If you could just tell me what you love about this town.
Right. Well, I've got a lot of history with Lansing. So what I think I appreciate most about Lansing is the sense of family, wholesome entertainment, place for kids to play in the park, and great schools. I had gone to Lansing Christian School, but I would have gone to TF South High School. So I had a foot in private and public schools, and I got to appreciate people like Mr. Jim Kajeski.
Yeah.
You know, he was a teacher of mine at TF South, and how he ran the pool, and just that caliber of individual that cared about the town so much in those leadership roles back when I was growing up really formed my opinion of the town. So I really came to appreciate it, and then the older you get, you don't want to see that go away, not only for your own retirement years, you know, that we're in, but for the young families that you see, and your own kids and their kids growing up and coming to visit and going to the park. And we just have an idea of what a great small town should be, saw it lived out well in the past, and then you give an opportunity to make sure that that continues in some fashion. And that's been my experience.
Well said, Jerry, and I'd just like to say thank you again for being on the show.
Well, I appreciate being invited. Thanks for having me.
And thank you for watching. We'll see you next time on Inside Lansing.